Hi guys, welcome to Game On. We are in the second of 3 episodes talking about our top 3 spooky Halloween horror themed gaming modules or adventures. And this is number 2 of 3 videos. If you didn't check out the first one, stop now and go back and see that one because it's supposed to build up and get better from here. Anyway.
We'll have a link right up here for it too.
I guess it'll be
or maybe there. I don't know. Somewhere.
Looks like a really lame gang sign.
Well, man. Yeah, so it's the month of October. It's time for Halloween gaming. It's time for, it's a little bit more prominent for these horror games to come out. Unlike us who like to play them year round, some people only want to play them around now. So we're giving you our top 3 picks. And like Matt said, this is number 2. Matt, how would you start off with your number 2?
Why, thanks, Justin. I guess I will. So number 2. This is one of the all-time horror classics. It really needs no introduction. Call of Cthulhu, right? I mean, what the game was created for horror themes. So, that's what we're talking about here. And I've chosen to pull an adventure out of this book, Nameless Horrors, which is 6. There are 6 stories in this book for Call of Cthulhu setting, and this book was put out in the mid 2015 or therefore, so it's fairly modern.
Okay.
But one of the things it was designed to do was to create gaming settings for Call of Cthulhu that didn't rely on well-trodden monsters and bad guys.
Okay.
As the name implies, Nameless Horrors, the things that you face in this book are things that have not been named and you don't know. Ooh. You don't know how they work, you don't know the rules that govern them, so even if you're playing with a table full of Cthulhu experts, they're still going to be lost. Nice. And easier to spook because they're not going to know how to face down what they encounter. As I foreshadowed in the previous video, my picks all have this sort of alternate timelines theme to them. I would estimate that this, and this particular one that I picked, is for the Cthulhu by Gaslight setting, which sets it a little bit earlier in the late 19th century as opposed to the early 20th. Not a big difference, but in vibe, it's more Victorian. Okay. And it has a different
Those foggy streets of London kind of thing.
Well, funny you should mention that, because this particular one is in this book is called An Amaranthine Desire. And it is set in a name that will be very, very familiar to Cthulhu fans, Dunwich.
Oh.
But not the fictitious Dunwich that Lovecraft created in Massachusetts. This is set in the real Dunwich, which is off the east coast of England.
Ooh,
and
twist.
The town was a real town, is a real town, and it was a thriving port city in the early part of the 1300s, things like that.
Okay.
And it was known for smuggling to the mainland, to and from the mainland.
Nice. Okay.
This is not made up. It was wiped out by a pair of horrific storms that basically washed half the town into the ocean. And if that doesn't sound like Lovecraftian, Cthulhu, apocalyptic, I don't know what does. So what's really cool about that is that's what really happened to Dunwich in 12 something. And so what this module does is connect Cthulhu mythos to those real historical events and kind of transports the characters who arrive on the coast. It's kind of near Suffolk in England, so it's kind of up the east coast in a kind of no man's land part of the island, and it's pointed towards sort of northern Europe, right? So it's cold, it's stormy, it's going to be misty and foggy and have all of that feel to it. And the story does a parallel timeline spread by 700 years.
Okay.
So you get to experience the night of that first storm.
Ooh.
And what might have caused it or been involved in it. So the things that I love about this module, without going into the plot too much.
Why haven't I played this yet?
Because I have it and you don't. But we can fix that. So the things I love about this, and in Cthulhu in general, but in this module in particular, ambiance, right? Cthulhu is known for it. Again, we're talking about the foggy, the creepy, the looming dread in the shadows that you don't really know, that's driving you crazy and maybe going to kill you. And yeah, so mist enshrouded mystique, that's what this does so well. And the ruins of a late Victorian coastal village that used to be a thriving smuggler's port hundreds of years ago, kind of cool. So I like flexibility that's built into this thing. It's set for the Gaslight era, but in the module itself, and it's set for pre-generated PCs, which they supply you in this book. But right up front in the module, they give you rules for converting it to traditional Cthulhu, if you want to fast forward it to a normal Cthulhu setting, or even modern times, if you want to push it all the way up. They show you, hey, tweak this, tweak that, and it will work. You can also do it with original PCs. Okay. They tell you need to have your players have a couple of skills and backgrounds that make sense. Yeah. But they give you the tools to adapt this to your own purposes and desires, which I really appreciate, because sometimes games will leave you to your own devices if you want to customize, which can be a fun challenge, but it also can be time consuming and a pain in the butt if you want to pick something up and run with it. Right? This is a 1 to 2 shot. Okay. I would guess by the length of it. Okay. But in that flexibility, it tells you how to extend it out. Okay. If you want to make it a longer sort of mini campaign, they show you the places where you can sort of fill in the margins and stretch that story out, which is very, very cool. Built-in expansion level, you know. And you don't really see that in off-the-rack modules, especially not short ones like this. So I appreciate that. And, you know, again, it doesn't have the familiar villains, so you keep the shroud of mystery a little thicker, even for people who have memorized the rulebook. And I always like temporal twists and turns, time-setting things. I dig it. So getting them to work logistically or narratively can be a challenge, but this one is simple and flexible enough to make that easier than most. And if you're trying that for the first time, this would be a great game to play with timelines for the first time, in my opinion. Yeah, and it doesn't have a lot of the pitfalls of predestination plot lines. Like, it doesn't railroad you into a set conclusion, which again makes it kind of unique for that thing. So I dig it.
It's not Calvinistic.
Yeah.
Sorry.
People are Googling to figure out what that means now. Yeah, but this is the book, Nameless Horrors. It should, again, it's relatively modern, so it should be available through your usual sources. Any particular vendors we want to point people at?
Probably Drive-Thru RPG and DM's Guild probably has a lot of what we're showing you too. So.
Yep. In fact, I think I looked it up on Drive-Thru. But yeah, those are our sort of go-tos, so we would point you there.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's my number 2 pick.
Let's go to mine.
Sweet.
No, it's great that we mentioned Drive-Thru RPG and DM's Guild, because this one you can actually only get on Drive-Thru RPG and DM's Guild. And this is called The Haunt. It is by my becoming new favorite indie dev, PB Publishing, the Wranglers of West Hollow.
Cool.
So I got to run this last year for some family members, which is really interesting to get to play D&D with family members. And I will say that this game, we did have a younger high schooler. Okay. And what I really like about this game is that it is kind of Ghostbustery, but not really. It has a good amount of PG-13 kind of a teen humor. It's got violence in it because it's D&D, but it's also toned down. It's not like terribly bad. However, what I really like about this is that you can really ratchet up. You can make it higher tier like horror, or you can bring it down to make it more lower tier like goofy horror if you really want to.
Okay.
The way that we ended up actually running it was we ended up running it like PG-13 just under our kind of writing, the way that I kind of retooled it. Out of the box is great.
Okay.
It involves, there is an old mansion outside of this town that you are in. What's really cool about this module is that it doesn't have to set in the Forgotten Realms. You can pick it up, put it in Eberron, you can put it anywhere. Put it in your own homebrew setting. And on this town, there is an old mansion that a general used to live in. And some people say that there's some noises and lights that come out of the windows there. And people are confused as to what that means and what that is. So you're hired to go and look. Cool thing is they give you like 7 plot hooks. So even if that sounds boring to you, they give you a whole bunch of different ways to go find it. And it is a fun haunted house adventure.
Okay.
It is, a 3-leveled mansion with, I won't give too much away, but I will say that it actually uses the only time I've seen D&D use flashbacks in a good way.
That's a bit of a backhanded compliment, but no, that's cool. If they're employing advanced storytelling techniques in a game that's geared for, or at least compatible with younger player audiences, right?
Yeah,
like you said, it's flexible, so you can ramp it up or ramp it down to fit your players. But yeah, that's cool. If they're using, they may be taming the content, but they're not taming the story quality.
Yes, yep. The story is amazing. It's just how much you want to get graphically with it.
Sure.
It's an adamantine bestseller, so that's the highest tier selling that you can get on a DM's Guild, or is it Drive-Thru RPG? It's one of those two. I think it's GM's Guild, but it's less than $6. So it's an amazing game. There are some handouts in the game. I think it's better to add a few more handouts into the game if you wanted to, if you had the time. Mm-hmm. But they do have this one little cool handout that they give you. So that's, I guess, if I had any gripes with it, which I really don't, it's just that you can expand on it with more of your own kind of homebrew handouts that you want to throw into there.
Well, and I don't even think that's necessarily a criticism, right? Because there's lots of box stock adventures that don't have any handouts. But they certainly give you an opportunity to create some if you wanted. So the fact that they're giving you some already means that they're better than that. Yeah. But you can take it further if you like that feel and vibe. Yeah, and what I really liked about this is that we turned the lights down, and we actually had some. I got this idea from you actually with the flameless candles, those like tabletop candles, and we also put them in the chandelier above. And we use the surround sound to play a thunderstorm in the background. Nice. Because, I mean... immersive environment. Yeah, it was awesome as the shadows danced across the table and we ate Snickers and slayed ghosts. If you want to go next level with that, what you do is you get yourself a piece of raw chicken and you leave it under the table for a couple of days, and then it smells like death too. Well, those are our number 2 picks. Don't try that again. Those are our number 2 picks. Make sure that you let us know in the comments what your number 2 pick is for the top 3. And don't mess up the numbers. Number 2 only. No. Leave comments of whatever you guys want to talk about. But if you want to rank your games along with us, that would be fun. And we'd love to hear, what you guys think. So comments. It might even inspire another video topic in the future. We've been known to do that a time or two. Exactly. And also, a lot of these things that you're seeing in the link below, if you click the DM's Guild and the Drive-Thru RPG link below, you'll actually be supporting us. So if you want to get this game, no extra cost to you, but you will show us some support.
So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And to game on.
Game on, dudes. And stay tuned because we got one more episode where we talk about our top picks.